Hey guys, we're going to continue our conversation over photosynthesis, and I'm going to go straight into what the definition of it actually is. It is a process in which plants use the energy of sunlight to convert water and carbon dioxide into oxygen and high-energy carbohydrates, or more commonly we know them as sugar and starches. Now, if we take a good look at the name photosynthesis, photo usually has something in reference to light, and then synthesis usually means to create. So photosynthesis, plants are creating energy from light. Now, how do we figure out how this is all happening? Well, mostly responsible is a couple of scientists. First guy was Van Helmont's experiment in the 1600s. He concluded that most of the mass of a plant came from water because that was the only thing he had added to the plant over time. However, we now know that plants take in carbon dioxide on a regular basis in order to perform photosynthesis, and actually the carbon that is stored in the plant is actually what makes up most of the plant. Now, a couple other guys helped us elaborate on our knowledge of photosynthesis even more. Priestley's experiment, about 100 plus years later, revealed that plants also release oxygen as a byproduct. And then we also had Egginghaus. He realized that light was necessary in order for this whole process to even happen, and also for that oxygen to be produced. So, together with Helmont, Priestley, and Egginghaus, and few other scientists, we revealed that in the presence of light, plants are able to transform carbon dioxide and water into oxygen and carbohydrates. The overall equation for photosynthesis can be shown here. I highly suggest you either pause or take the time to write down the equation both in the balanced chemical equation. And so when I say balanced chemical equation, I'm talking about this equation right here. And my oval is a little off. How about that? That's much better. Has the correct amount of coefficients, subscripts, everything. Same number of oxygen atoms over here equals the same number of oxygen atoms over here. Hopefully you remember from physical science that you have to have a balanced chemical equation. Energy cannot be created or destroyed, therefore this equation has to be balanced in order for it to be true. So our energy is just being transformed. We're going from carbon dioxide and water to sugar and oxygen with the fact that sunlight and chlorophyll is available. Now I also want you to go ahead and write down the word form of those chemical formulas just to make sure you look back and you know what these chemical formulas are representing. So, and I just placed them right below each other. This is carbon dioxide, we got water, sugar, or glucose more specifically, and then of course oxygen. So take the time, go ahead and pause the video if you need more time to write down the equation. Otherwise I'm going to go ahead and keep going. Here is just a more visual picture of what is going on within the chloroplast in the plant cells. You have the light energy coming into the chloroplast, and with the help of carbon dioxide and water, okay, that are coming into the cell, okay, going into the chloroplast, what we can have as byproducts are sugars that can be stored for the plant as food, and then oxygen as a byproduct that's going to be released. And guess who needs oxygen to take in and breathe and survive? Well, pretty much every other organism on the planet. Now, so let's talk about lights and pigments. So we know that besides just water and carbon dioxide, in order for photosynthesis to happen, light is needed, and chlorophyll, which is a pigment-absorbing molecule in chloroplast, also has to be available to plants. So the principal pigment in chloroplast is chlorophyll, and there are two main types. There is type A chlorophyll, and there is also type B chlorophyll. Chlorophyll absorbs the blue and red regions of the visible spectrum the best. Chlorophyll will not absorb light very well in the green region, and that's exactly why plants are green, because it doesn't absorb green light, it actually reflects green light. Yellow is also not absorbed well. There are plants that also have red and orange pigments that can also absorb light in other regions. This type of pigment is usually known as carotene. So a plant that primarily had carotene as a light-absorbing pigment would look red or orange on the outside because it doesn't absorb the red and orange pigments. it reflects them just as chlorophyll doesn't absorb green, it reflects green. Now, I want you to look very carefully at this graph. It's very important that you understand what this graph is showing you. You will see it. Again, if you take a look at the IV, you will notice there is a wavelength in nanometers. Okay, and that's what these numbers represent. And then also below it, you will see the visible light spectrum and how it's broken down into each one of those wavelengths. Okay, so if you're trying to break this down and see what all of that means, if you went to 450 nanometers at that wavelength, we would see the color violet. Now, if you go ahead and take a look at the y-axis, or your dependent variable here, it's the estimated absorption percentage. So how well is chlorophyll A or B absorbing at that wavelength or at that color? And for chlorophyll B, it is definitely evident that at this peak here, about the blue-violet region, chlorophyll B absorbs light very well. There's also a small peak here where chlorophyll B absorbs the red region decently well. Not as well as in the blue-violet, but it still absorbs some light there and it's gaining some energy for the plant. Now, if you look at chlorophyll A, the peaks are in the violet region and the red region. So similar color, similar wavelengths that both chlorophyll types are absorbing light at and gaining energy for the plant. So that is all we are going to talk about today. Tomorrow we will be talking about 8.3 and actually going a little bit deeper into the process of photosynthesis and the both types of reactions that occur. So thank you for watching. Please feel free to replay the video as many times as you like to get the notes that you feel are most important. Talk to you later.